The old Mini Clubman was a quirky car, perhaps too quirky for its own good. The new model aims to retain the character of the old version, but with greater practicality to make it a more appealing choice to business users. For example, the old car had a single rear door, whereas today's model has a door on either side. It hasn't become entirely conventional though. The distinctive split rear tailgate is still an unusual feature.
So, design-wise, the Clubman still follows its own path, but without asking so many compromises of its driver and passengers. In terms of economy and emissions, the Clubman is competitive with its key rivals.
The 150 horsepower Cooper D achieves 68.9 mpg on the combined cycle and emits as little as 109 grams a kilometre of CO2 depending on the exact spec. That puts the car in the 19% tax band, the same tax bracket as an equally powerful VW Golf diesel.
The 1D has 116 horsepower, achieves 72.4 mpg on the combined cycle and emits 99 grams a kilometre of CO2. If emissions take second place to performance, then there's the 190 horsepower Cooper SD, which marries hot hatch performance to CO2 emissions of 119 grams a kilometre or 114 grams a kilometre with an automatic gearbox. There's also a Cooper S Petrol with 192 horsepower and CO2 emissions from 144 grams a kilometre, and both the S and SD are available with the all-4 four-wheel drive system.
Or for low mileage business users, there's this car, the petrol-powered Cooper. With 136 horsepower, performance isn't in the same league as the Cooper SD, but emissions of 118 grams a kilometre are competitive for a petrol-powered car.
Whatever engine is chosen, the Clubman is fun to drive, as you'd expect of a Mini. The car turns in crisply and feels agile. Ride comfort is improved compared with most of the Mini range, with a more supple feel. There are more softly suspended C-segment cars, but the Clubman is a lot easier to live with than its predecessor. Today's Clubman is usefully bigger than the Mini 5-door hatch. It's some 270mm longer and 73mm wider. That brings the Clubman closer in size to key rivals like the VW Golf. Even so, the cabin still feels rather snug. It's stylish, reasonably well made, and sat-nav is standard across the board, but there are plenty of competitors which offer more rear legroom. Boot space is 360 litres with the seats upright and 1250 litres with them folded. That's there or thereabouts, but again, if practicality is a priority, there are roomier competitors.
The Clubman won't suit everyone, but the second generation is much more convincing than the first. It's competitive on emissions, it's more practical than before, but it's still a characterful and entertaining car.